Hey there, this is Pam Perry, and we are here with Pam Perry's Picks on Amazon Live. Yes, we are, and also on YouTube, as well as in our Chocolate Pages Facebook group. So we are streaming in all three places live today. And we have an exciting show today talking about a book, My Gay Ain't Happy. All right. So we're going to be talking with this author. She was in the Speakers Magazine the month of May on page 6. So if you want to check her out there, she is actually there. There is Chevel. But I'm going to bring her up right after our little intro and give you a little bit more of a formal introduction or a bio of her as well. So you can kind of understand why I'm so excited about having this young lady today. It's never too late to realize your dreams as an author. Never, never, never. So we'll be back right after this. Like I said, so let me give you a little bit about our guest before I bring her up. So Chevel Nelson, this is her here. She's an author and she's a speaker. Simply Chevel. No filters, no fluff. Just Chevel. She's an accomplished poet who has won awards for her work and co-wrote and published 2 poetry books. Writing has always been her outlet and her passion, and most of all, her joy. So you should always follow your joy. One of her idols, Toni Morrison, once said, "If there's a book you want to read, but it hasn't been written yet, then you must write it." This statement is her fuel. Chevel only writes what she herself wants to read. Currently, she has moved from poetry to writing novels, plural, right? She resides in New York City with her husband and teenage son, and you can find her on TikTok and Instagram and Facebook as Chevel Nelson Author, right? That's one of the things. So with that, I'll bring up Chevel. Yay!
Hello.
Hey
Hello.
there. So welcome, welcome, welcome. So congratulations. The book debut was actually out on May 30th on your birthday.
On my
And
birthday,
it actually is out during the month of June, which is what month?
coincides with Pride Month.
That's it. That's it. And so that's why the color is like this, right? That's
Yes.
like the thing. So I want to see a little bit about to go into more of your background in terms of writing. I know the other day you were on a podcast with the Black Authors Matter TV with Gwen, and you said you've been writing since you were 12 years old. So, what spurs the writing? Because you could be doing jump rope, you could be playing with Barbies, you could be watching TV. What is the writing thing that is bringing you joy?
I love to read. And so I would always love to read. I read so much. I used to have to keep a spreadsheet because I was reading books over again. And I was like, oh, I read this book. This is why it's there. And at 12, I just started writing as an escapism. I
Mhm.
was dealing with a lot of things, teenage angst, and I wanted something to be able to express myself. So it was always poetry, and I found I was good at it. So I would just keep writing, and then there were competitions, and I would just write then. And then it came literally, I started reciting and reading poetry all over New York
Mhm.
because I had a friend who wanted to see me read, and I read. And after that, it was just always what I fell in love with.
So was the poetry like rhyming poetry or poetry that was like haiku? What type of poetry was it?
It it was rhyming poetry,
That's
and it actually was when me and my friend co-authored the second book. When she said, you're better than that, right? You don't have to rhyme everything. You can actually paint pictures with your words, but you're
Mhm.
rhyming them. So paint pictures with your words.
Yes, yes, yes.
So and then I started writing more spoken word.
Yes, and New York is kinda known for that, I guess you would say. It's like the culture of where rap kind of originated, I guess maybe between LA and New York, but New York kind of claims it too. That's where a lot of the spoken word, a lot of the rap, kind of like the hip hop, it all started within that. And what part of New York are you from?
Originally from the Bronx, where
There
it
you go.
started.
There you go. So, there you go. So it's like it basically kind of like fell on you. Now,
Yeah.
this book in particular it says until recently, the dictionary defined gay as happily excited or keenly alive and exuberant, having or inducing high spirits. It says other meanings have been lighthearted and carefree or cheerful, merry, or jolly. But what happens when being gay is not so cheerful, merry, or even happily excited? Explore the lives of 13 individuals whose lives are anything but happy as they struggle through their day-to-day existence in the world of LGBTQ plus. So the idea birthed this book. So you're doing the poetry and you're doing all that, you're doing spoken word, you're going around New York City and you're doing all this. And then all of a sudden, the writing that you are now writing is a novel. This is a fictional book. Obviously, it's not your true story, but it's a fictional. And so you have 13 characters that are in this book. So, how did it come about? What was the genesis, I guess you would say, of where it all started?
I wouldn't be able to tell you, to be honest with you. I was writing another book, and this book came out of nowhere, and all of a sudden their stories just started popping up. And so it started with Patrick and Diane, and then all of a sudden I went from 2 to 12, and the 13th character came out of the blue at the very end. And I had a whole outline on what they were going to be and what they were going to say, and it all changed as the book was going on. I would wake
So,
up to stories.
so let me ask you this because fiction is a lot different from nonfiction. So, where do you see? I always say, what do you feel like the takeaway should be for each of the books because you're going to have different books for each one for the series. But what did you feel when you were writing? I guess you were guided writing. What did you feel the takeaway should be that people should feel reading it?
Of course, you want people to read for entertainment purposes. However, I wanted people to read and realize that gay, straight, whatever your label is, white, black, blue, Latino, everybody deals with the same things. And we all have been heartbroken. We've all been disappointed. We've all had instances where we didn't know which way to go. And that's what these characters have. And I felt like they deserved a voice
Mhm, mhm,
because a lot of times when you see gay, you see happy people are happy and they look all jovial. And that's not always the case.
mhm. So was it the making the my gay and happy, the scene or knowing maybe some of the issues that people who are gay in this community, that's why we have all the gay rights and everything, knowing any gay people and some of the things they've gone through, not saying that their characters are in the book because we don't want to say that, but did that affect your writing the book of My Gay and Happy, knowing that maybe some people who are gay, they struggle with it, they may have mental issues because of the abuse maybe that they've encountered, or just some of the pointing of fingers at people when they're maybe at church or any of those things. So if it is, writing poetry and then all of a sudden this, was it something that maybe you saw or maybe even it's like, I don't know, reflection of what you saw on television because there's Modern Family and all that kind of thing. So where did you feel like that it was vibrating from, I guess you would say?
It actually started years ago with a conversation with a family member who is gay.
Mm.
And I'm so sorry. I don't know what's happening. I don't know if you could see me. I could see you.
Mhm.
Um, and having a family member who was and having a conversation with them. And I remember when this family member, when I was 10 years old, I've never forgotten the fact that they were actually beaten because they were gay,
Wow.
not for any other reason. And they had broken almost every bone in their face because
Whoa.
we were just intimidated because they were gay. And that has always led me to be like, what is the big deal with someone being gay as opposed to not?
Mhm.
Is it because we set up these societal norms?
Yeah.
And that was it. And so I remember those instances I've had in my 20s.
Mhm.
I was part of the scene. Like, all my friends were gay, so we would always hang out, and I would listen to their struggles and listen to their struggles of having relationships or
Mm,
getting them and having to wear those two masks, right? Because sometimes you don't want people to know that's what you are
mhm.
because
Yeah,
you don't want to be judged.
especially a long time ago. It wasn't until the last 10 years or so where people were really, uh, you know, being able to I think one of the first, uh, celebrities, I guess you would say, that really, quote, unquote, "came out of the closet" was Ellen. And Ellen, TV show host, whatever, whatever. And then all of a sudden, it just became like a movement. And then there was Don Lemon on CNN, and then, different people that made people feel like if they can, really proudly say that I'm gay, then I can too. So that was probably the beginning of it because every I think every novel or fiction kinda like is a reflection, and then you obviously in the imagination, you're gonna add more characters and more depth, but to have someone that that was beaten to the point where they are breaking bones in someone's body, that had to and you were 10 years old
I was
when that
10,
happened? Yeah, that
and
has to
I
be
I remember that.
and then it had it for whatever reason, it just came back and it was like, "You know what? Let me tell some of those stories about my getting happy." That's really, really like a good thing. Even though, you know, it affected you, but you didn't know it was gonna affect your writing.
No.
You got
No,
30
not 10 to now is a long distance. So, yeah, I didn't think that it would, in all honesty. And it also, like, when you spoke about Ellen, I remember when she came out and how she lost everything.
Yes.
She lost
Yeah.
everything, and a lot of people don't realize, like, she came back. However, she lost everything when people found out that she was gay. It
Yeah.
was it was it was alienating, right? It
Mhm.
made you feel, and then again, they're people. So how do you feel?
Yeah, yeah. So that's really the thing of like, how do they feel? And for someone who is not gay, they may not have conversations with people who are LGBTQ, and they'll want to know like, how do they feel? What is the scenario? And their backstories and how they're interacting with people. So writing is, and I heard you say yesterday with Gwen, and said it's so much more. You've got to get the dialogue right. You've got to just really like the characters almost gotta live in your head. They've gotta become real because
Oh no,
they're
they live here. And I think I tell people I'm not crazy, they're here.
yeah,
I wake up to them, I fall asleep to them, I hear them saying, "Okay, are you okay? When are you gonna write again?" And
yeah,
there are characters that I have to write about because of some of the stories that I'm struggling with because I don't want to give certain characters a voice,
mhm,
right? In
mhm,
these people's lives. However, I introduce them into the book. So I have to explain why they feel the way that they do.
and how many, I guess you'll say novels or books will you think will be is it 13 each
14.
character? 14.
So
So
including this one, it'll actually be 15 total. So there's 13 characters. Everybody is going to
w
have their own backstory and book.
okay, okay.
And then it'll be if you start a book, you kind of got to finish a book.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so I the last book will be, what happened, what everything that happened afterwards.
Ties together. So
Ties it.
one of the things that, because this is like the first novel, and obviously this is coming out and everything, and so you've got the big splash. It's doing well, and people are receiving it. So what do you see years from now? Because most novels, Terry McMillan had Waiting to Exhale, and obviously that became a blockbuster movie. What do you see? Is it a screenplay? I mean, you're in New York, so you could see it on Broadway.
I, I have. I actually said somebody actually, a close friend of mine who's a writer, when I told her the theory, she said, "Oh, that sounds like it's going to be like Netflix is going to snatch that up and you're going to have a little series." So I was like,
Uh,
okay, if you say so. But for me, it was just writing because I feel like people have voices and they deserve to be heard.
Mhm, mhm.
And I
That
think a lot of times we just don't hear people.
Yeah, yeah. I like that. Because it is so many books, it could be a series and it definitely could be 26 season, 26, you know,
Mhm.
episodes and that kind of thing, 13 weeks, it's like it's broken down in a really good way. But the thing that really I had an author that wrote a book, she fiction book. And she's always written poetry, kind of like you, so it's a creative thing. And so she wrote a book, a novel. He's Fine, but Is He Safe? Probably 15 years ago. This fall is going to actually be a stage play, and she's going to have different. Bruh Man from the Fifth Floor from Martin is one of the people that's going to be in it. But it took a long time for her to really bring it out, but think about it, 15 years ago, we didn't have Netflix and that kind of thing. So, everything is quicker now. And so you writing these books is going to be a lot quicker too. So having that, I can see you doing this into a format where people can actually see them either on a stage play, on Broadway, on Netflix, in a movie. If you were to pick actors for your characters, give us some ideas. That would put it out there. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's gonna leave a minute for a pause.
Who's the main character? One of the main ones.
The main one, believe it or not, was Patrick because he was my first. Him and Diane, they have special places in my heart. So it's Patrick, Diane, and Antoine. Those are the
Okay.
three that were the ones that have special places. It's really, really hard because of the, could I would say, oh, Taraji P. Henson as Diane. I could see that, right? Because I've seen her angry and
Mhm.
doing that. The other characters, it would really, I would prefer that it would be somebody new
Okay.
because I
Okay.
feel like newer actors bring more hunger
Mhm. They
and
do.
they're not, they're willing to show you their chops and
Mhm.
just
Mhm.
give their range. And I always love to see an actor's range. And that's it. Like I could say, "Oh, I want to see this." Everybody, I'll be honest. If I had to put Morris Chestnut all through the book, Morris Chestnut would be on every every character. But that's just not realistic.
But
However, I
a lot of artists, rap artists, Queen Latifah used to be a rap artist, now she's an actress. I mean, so it could be someone like, I don't know, Kirk Franklin or whatever could be one of them. So it doesn't have to be actors, it can be musicians.
it could
TI
be.
or, what I'm saying? Like, because that's where a lot of them Beyonce, she's been in a couple of movies that actually love her as an actress as well. So, you could think of the music people as well as actors. It doesn't have to be all Denzel and Taraji and that kind of thing, but some of the singers, of some of the people as well. Mary J, I
Yeah,
think she's
and like
in.
she was in the movie, a Tyler Perry
Yes,
movie
she sure
with
was.
Taraji X actually.
Yes, yes.
So as you're saying that, like I could see Queen Latifah playing Diane because Diane's range is just like Diane's story is one of those stories like you're like, wait, what? so so it's one of those things you have to have a range to be able to play this because and she's one of the few like she is probably the only character that's not LGBTQ.
Mhm.
However, she has a situation that's LGBTQ. And
Okay.
so, how do you deal with that? How do you deal with those ranges that you have to deal with emotions of something happening and you don't readily understand it? So, you
Mhm.
need somebody who can bring that whole range and who doesn't readily understand it.
Mhm. That is good, and she's a great actress, she really is.
Yes,
She's
she
like
is.
she's
She is.
like
I love her.
just like you said, all the different ranges, from everything, that she's done, it's always been good. So, the next okay, so give us a little bit of depth, I guess you would say, about Antoine, about who he is and what he's going through and what his struggles, I guess you would say, and how you kinda put it together.
So I don't want to give his whole story away because it is it is one of the most impactful stories of the book.
Mhm,
I
mhm.
put he was originally supposed to start the book and I put him at the end.
Ah,
Um
Okay.
I know, and actually everybody's written in first person, so it's like they're talking. So he speaks about it. He's
Uh,
like, "Oh, I was supposed to start this little thing here, right?" So that's it. Antoine is what I call fabulously gay. He is fine with being gay. He is fabulous in being gay. He is super talented. He can sing. He's the choir director at the church. However, he hears all of the little noises that the church people say,
mhm.
like, oh, how wasteful is it that he's gay? Or his mother will never have beautiful children because he's never
Mm,
going to have,
mm,
things people say without even realizing how callous they are.
right.
And just his strength. I appreciate his strength because he goes through a lot. However, he came out stronger,
Mm. What
so
yeah, what I find interesting what you said is that and most people don't know until they get it, they have to get it, is and you look like you're frozen, but Imma hold this up anyway, we're gonna keep
no,
going.
I'm here. I'm good. I
Uh,
was
is the fact that it's written in first person, so everybody in the book is written in first person.
everybody.
Oh my god. That
And
is
it, yeah,
that's one of the things that's different about this too. And did you do that on purpose, or was that just a book that you read that was similar to? It's kinda like what you said about, Toni Morrison. If there's a book that you wanna read and it hasn't been written, then you need to write it. So, have you ever read a book like that, that was, like, written in first person and it had so many different characters or something that, um, inspired you, I guess you would say?
I will say, like, I was a massive fan of Elin Harris before he passed away. And
Mm,
he actually started this kind of genre. And I felt like when he was gone, there wasn't really anything replacing it. And I'm also a big fan of Carl Weber, who writes in first person for his
yeah,
character.
he does. I like
So
John Weber too. Mhm.
when I started to write it, at some point it was first character, then it was jumping into me telling the story in third person, and then I was like, no, third person just didn't feel right.
Right.
It didn't feel right, especially because the characters were in my head and they were speaking to me, so I was writing down what they were speaking.
So yeah, that's why I could really see it being like a movie or a stage play or a series or something like that because you've already written their dialogue basically. You've written it in their words. So that's one of the main things too that is like, okay, this is different. So yeah, I appreciate the because you could have said, you know what, I'm gonna do 4 books and I'm gonna put them all in here. I'm gonna jam them all in here together. But what you did is that you says, each one deserves their own voice, which is what I think you're saying overall with the book, is
Yes.
that
Yeah.
people need their own voice, no matter their sexual orientation. Then that's one of the main things. And so it's like you can't slight the people in the book, in the fiction, if people are doing that in real life.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
we're all individuals. No two, we could be born on the same day. No two are alike. And so I felt like that was important. It was important to give people that
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and also make them hungry to want to see what's next.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Those are oh and not trilogies because that would only be 3, but were there books when you were younger that you would read the next series of? I know my daughter used to read Junie B, and I mean, they were just like those
Junie B.
books.
too. Encyclopedia Brown. I think more, believe it or not, I'm a massive, and I don't like scary movies, but I'm a massive Stephen King fan.
Oh,
And what happened is most people did not realize that the Green Mile that became the movie was actually short stories. And so every month you would have to go to Barnes and Nobles to get the next book to see what
mhm,
the next thing was. And sometimes he would put out two, was never more than two in any 3 months. And I had the whole series. I think it was 15 books, but it was just like you would sit there waiting for because you wanted to see what the characters would do next.
mhm,
And I
mm.
don't think a lot of people realize that the Green Mile started out as short stories.
Oh my god, yeah.
And he said he loved it because what happened is nobody could read the ending.
Mhm, mhm. And also too, Harry Potter. I mean, people wait on the Harry Potter books like they used to wait on them, like, have parties waiting for these books that come out, and they were thick books, so they were, like, very, very thick, so it is a series of things that you're going to be that we're looking forward to see. Imma put your website up there again, chevelnelsonauthor.com. They can actually get the hardcover book, and they can get the on Amazon right now, they can get the ebook. You know, people like to do that. You can go to your website and actually get the hardcover book, and you have the paperback as well?
Not yet because it's just the hardcover. And so
It's
what's
hard.
happening on the website is if you get the hardcover and I sign it for you and you know write a little something for you, you get a free ebook. So it's a bundle, and
Ah,
that'll be available by the end of the month. Yes.
I love it, I love it, I love it. Well, I just thank you so much for being in Speakers Magazine. So the topics that you're speaking on are writing, that's what a lot of fiction writers write, talk, speak on, you know, at writers' conferences, or will you be speaking at other places, and what are some of your topics?
As of right now, I do have some podcasts that we're working on to get lined up. I am looking forward to going to Houston in October for the National Black Authors.
Yay! With
So I'm
when?
excited about
I think
that.
it's about 20 years old, that festival, National Black Book Festival, so
Yes,
that's
and
amazing. Mhm.
I think I'm more excited because I'm a big networker. Like I like meeting people, and I tell people public speaking, I usually fall apart. I'm not really, I get nervous. It's a go figure. I can read poetry, but I can't to speak on something.
Right.
But that's because there's light shining in my face, so I can't see the people. So
Oh, okay.
it's easier to talk when you don't see anybody. However,
True.
I'm looking forward to it. Things are moving in directions I didn't believe, and I am excited for whatever falls into my lap and whomever I meet and whoever I can touch. I'm just excited.
So would you be a person that will be like an advocate for LGBTQ or
Always have been an ally.
Mhm.
This book, did not want to do it a justice. I
Yeah.
did a lot of research. I watched a lot of documentaries. I watched a lot of different shows. So like there's like verbiage that most people probably haven't even heard before because I had watched a lot of different shows and actually intook and make sure that I was cognizant of people's feelings. I didn't
Mhm.
want anybody to feel slighted or that I was sensationalizing their situations. I wanted them to feel like maybe she does kind of get us. I
Mhm.
wanted
Yeah, and so that's one of the things I think that will be you don't hear too many speakers speaking on that topic, and I think that will be a good thing because it's kinda like the same thing with, the book quote that you said to Toni Morrison, you know, if you don't hear that kind of speaking, then you need to be the person that brings that message. So that's like that's you. That's your assignment. And that's why these books were like pulled out of you. And it's like, I had no I was going to write another book and now I'm writing this book. It's an assignment, I guess you would say. It's like your assignment for this season.
Yeah, I will
Yeah.
agree. It is something that came to me. Somebody said it perfectly. You're given a talent, and if you don't use it, it'll be taken away from you and given to someone else. And it
Yeah.
was a talent, and it's just stayed with me. Had you
Mhm.
asked me when I was in high school what my dream would be, I would say sitting in front of a computer and writing
Ah,
in a t-shirt
okay.
and some jeans, and that would be what I
Okay.
would love to do. And
That's what you joy.
now I'm doing it. And it just, again, like you said, it doesn't, dreams never
Mhm.
die.
No, no. They never have an expiration date. They never have an expiration date.
And I
They
think we put an expiration date on it.
right, right, but they never do. So, I congratulate you on your making the debut with the novel. It looks beautiful. I love the cover. I love the packaging that came in as well. So, I didn't get a chance to do a video, but on your Facebook page, I saw someone do the unwrapping
Yes.
of the book. So, that is good. So, when you hand sign every book, is that how they're all gonna come?
They actually they're all boxed up, and they're all,
Okay.
some have signatures, some don't, contingent,
I
and
love it.
then they're all boxed that way. We've taken the time. I wanted people to really know that I appreciated it.
Mhm,
You didn't
mm.
have to buy my book. You could have bought any other book, but the fact that you took the time out to go to the website to buy the book, I make sure that, yeah, everybody has that experience.
I love it, I love it. Well, thank you so much, Chevelle. Imma put your banner up there so that people will know to go to ChevelleNelsonAuthor.com, but also they can get the ebook on Amazon where we are streaming right now, so they can actually do buy it in real time. Because I see our folks over in Amazon giving us hearts and loves over there. So, hey, Amazon, thank you all
Hey,
so much.
Amazon.
So thank you so much for doing this, and I will talk with you later then. Alrighty,
Yes, yes. Thank you so much for having me, Pam. I really appreciate it.
oh, you're welcome. Thank you. S So that was Chevelle Nelson, author, so make sure that you keep in touch with her, go on her website, you get on an email list, know when those other books are coming out, and all of those things as well. So I'm Pam Perry, and I am out. Alrighty. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.